broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox City's Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. Next up is a band from the Green Bay area. It's a three-piece rock band. Their latest album is a self-titled album. I'd like to welcome Sweetalk to Fox City's Core. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Thanks a lot for having us.
So, you guys have been around for quite a while. The last album was a self-titled album, and that came out about a year or two ago?
Yeah, 2021. Late 2021. Mm-hmm.
So we'll go over all of that. But right off the bat, can you introduce yourself and what you do in the band?
Yeah, I'm Jamie. I play guitar and I sing in the band.
I'm Brian. I play the drums.
I'm Andy, and I play bass and kind of try to sing.
He does stand-up too.
Working on this. I don't do stand-up. I always joke about it, though.
He will. He will.
So this lineup of the band is a little different from when the band got started. We'll kind of go over all of that, but as far as when Sweetalk came to be, Jamie, that was you?
Yeah, that was me, and we were a four-piece at the time. We had two guitar players. Yeah, that was probably 2013 and 2014. But like what you're saying, the self-titled, it's self-titled for a reason. You know, the last probably 4 or 5 years, it felt like we finally put our stake in the ground and we got our thing together. You know, we got our shit together, I guess you could say. And we're like, okay, we know what we're doing now, and we know what we'd like to sound like and where we want to go with it. So
when you started the band, did the music sound pretty similar to what it sounds like on the self-titled album?
There's definitely an element of Sweetalk.
Yeah, I would say it's a lot more refined now. You know, there's meaning behind every part of the song. There's a reason why, you know, it's this long. There's a reason why it comes back. It's just more refined.
How did the addition of the new members change the dynamics of the band?
I mean, I think in any band you have that when you switch somebody out, especially like a drummer. Like it changes the personality of the band from the get-go, because like he has a completely different other feel than anybody else you would play with, and anybody else you would play with after that. That, you know,
everything differently.
And with Andy, it's the same thing. Like, you know, he's coming at it from a different angle than you would with anybody else you'd play with. You know.
So Andy, what were you doing before Sweetalk? Were you in a band prior?
Yeah, Red Light Saints. I played with for
Red Light Saints.
Yeah, 6 years or so, I think.
Yeah, so the Red Light Saints had quite a run, and
yeah,
you guys
we did some fun stuff.
Yeah, you guys played some big shows and did some big things, and then that band broke up about 4 years ago.
6 years ago, I think we're at now.
Okay,
5, 6. Yeah.
Any chance that band will come out of the ashes and resurrect?
There's been talks. That's as far as it's gotten. I don't know, maybe someday, but I'm sticking with this right now. I've always liked 3-piece bands. You know, Chevelle's one of my favorite bands, so I like, you know, coming from a 5-piece to a 3-piece was kind of where I wanted to be. Anyways, so it's fun. It's good. I like it.
I saw the Red Light Saints open for Corey Feldman.
Oh yeah,
Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Any fun facts about that show?
No, he runs a pretty tight ship there. He's got them girls on and off the bus, and it was something. Yeah.
We were talking before the show about mixing up genres for shows, and that would be a good example there, because Corey Feldman's got a very unique music genre, I guess. I wouldn't even know how to classify him.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah. He's got a real band now, though, not the Angels.
So. Okay.
Yeah, and
not that they weren't a real band, but
if you've never seen Corey Feldman live, he had a band. When you guys opened for him, it was a band of angels. Yeah. One of them, I think, was his wife.
Yeah, the guitar player. I think she still plays with him.
I do remember that that going around. I couldn't remember if it lasted.
Well, it's
Obviously
it's
not.
constantly still a thing. He plays harmonica in it now too, so I've seen
He's
some videos of
diversifying.
that.
Brian, what were you doing before this band?
I was in a band called The Dark Inside.
How long was that band together?
Oh, God, about 12 years. We took a couple years off because members went to college, and we ultimately split up because, I don't know, we got older and the guys went their separate ways. And then my wife actually told me that Sweetalk was looking for a band or a drummer, and I remembered always seeing them, and I'm like, God, band could be so good if they just got rid of their drummer. And yeah, so pretty much I just tried out for it, and they liked what I did.
So Jamie, how did you find Brian and Andy?
Well, it was easy with Brian because we had shared bills before we played shows together, so we knew of each other. With Andy, actually, we never played a show with his band, but for a little while we shared like a rehearsal space. Like our rooms that we'd rented were right next to each other, so we didn't know each other that well then, but every once in a while you'd run into somebody from his band. And honestly, I think it was somebody else in a different band that told us that you guys were done playing and you might be looking for something.
Isn't it Amberstein? The guy from Amberstein?
Yeah, they might be right. Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Checks out.
I knew Travis, the previous bass player, as well, though, so I didn't see him and think I could do that a lot better.
Balls on you, man.
But I did always think, wow, that's a cool gig. There's just more room to be creative in the way I like to. A little more distortion on the bass, and
There definitely is with we're not talking about your bass tone.
can we though?
Yeah.
But
We got 50 minutes.
you got more memory in these cameras. But I mean, with a 3-piece, like you have way more room to do, to pull the idea in your direction, and yeah, there's just, I mean, I've never been in a 5-piece before, but to get everybody just in line for practice, I don't know, it seems complicated, but to each their own. So
was the first release, was that Picturesque? Am I saying that right?
Yep, Picturesque.
That was 2015.
Yeah.
Like you said, you were a 4-piece at that point.
Yep.
As far as the songwriting went, were you writing with the other 3 members of the band at that point, or were you?
So that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like, I mean, when you play with different musicians, like stylistically there are differences, but when you write together, there are differences too. How you approach that. And with those 3 guys for Picturesque, it was like, there wasn't a lot of collaboration. You would bring in an idea, and however that idea was, like, that's exactly how we played it. We didn't really edit at all. So, I mean, whatever's recorded, that's how it came in. I mean, obviously, like, other band members would write their part on top of it, but the actual, whether it was a riff or whatever, that was the idea of the song. It didn't change too much.
So you were pretty much bringing a almost done idea to practice, and people are just layering on top of what you already wrote.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because we were younger or just, I don't know, we were just trying to look out for the other person, not stepping on their idea, and, we don't want to make them feel bad, but at some point in time, like, you have to kind of put pen to the paper and cut out the bad stuff if you want a really good release. And I mean, we're not old, but we're older. There's a lot of things you could be doing with your time, and if we're still going to be doing this, like, we want to be able to do it the best that we can, no matter what happens. If I bring an idea to practice and it's a complete idea, what I think is a complete idea, and we take the first 4 bars and write a whole new song, like, but it's better, like, that's fine with me. Like, there's no hard feeling, which actually did happen.
Yeah, it did.
For No True North, that ended up being our single. Like, I came in with a complete, intro, chorus, verse, bridge, all that completely lined up on a demo, and we took the first 4 or 8 bars and was like, okay, we're gonna write a different song, and we did. you know.
So to kind of make it more fun going through that songwriting process with Brian and Andy adding.
Yeah, because you don't know how it's gonna turn out in the end. Like if you come in with a complete idea and nobody feels like they have the right to change anything, well, you don't really leave much up to a surprise or the collaboration part of being in a band, which is, you know, why you'd want to be in a band if you're playing with other dudes or ladies. But I mean, you want to see your idea be pushed a little bit further than what you bring in. You know, like if I bring an idea in, he'll have, you know, he may not have a part written for it that'll change the song, but he'll at least have, you know, a good opinion and be a good backboard of like, this part sucks. Like maybe do this a little bit less.
Yeah, like a good grasp on maybe where the song could go, you know, like be thinking outside the box and outside your head, you know, just like I hear stuff that he brings and it's like it just makes me feel something totally different than what he's doing, you know, and it's like we change it a little bit and he changes it and it just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, you know, it's just a lot of back and forth, a lot of time at the whiteboard.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're a band and you don't have a whiteboard, at least our process, like the things that we do to the song, I wouldn't be able to keep it in my head.
No,
like,
oh god, keep all that other
not that
different iterations.
Yeah, and you know, and we're not like a prog band or doing anything crazy like that, but just the amount of changes that we make to an idea, until we, you know, play it live or record it is, you know, from point A to point B. It's a lot. You need a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Get a whiteboard.
Weekly changes.
Yes.
So Brian and Andy, as far as like comparing Sweetalk to your previous bands, how is the songwriting different? Were you guys allowed to write with your prior projects?
I was, yes. It's comparable. It seems more streamlined though. It seems like my old band, you'd fumble a lot around or just, you know, drink and party and not really actually get anything done. This seems more focused and has a purpose.
Yeah, about the same. Yeah, we wrote collaboratively on it. Seems like most songs start on guitar, so that, and we're kind of like that too. It's hard to write a song starting on the bass.
You can do it.
You
can do it.
By the end of this year.
Well, Jamie, how are you doing with like your guitar parts? Are some of them are kind of intricate on the older albums, and even the newer ones. You've got kind of multiple layers of guitar.
Mm-hmm.
When you're writing those kind of songs, are you thinking of how those are going to translate live? And do you guys ever think about maybe picking up a second guitarist?
That's loaded. I mean, when we write the song, the bare bones part of it, you know, being a 3-piece, the bare bones part of that version has to be good. So if that's not good, the more parts that you layer on top of it isn't going to make the song better. I mean, you might hide some stuff, but it should be a great song with 3 people.
Solid
if that's
foundation.
Yeah, you can't, you know, if the song sucks, the song sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There should be like it should work between, you know, 3 different instruments. You know, if we had a piano player, you know, it could work with one. You know, a good song should be able to translate on one instrument too if you're a piano player, you know. But I don't know, that's kind of our theory is like, if it sounds good with the foundation, then anything we put on top of it will just sweeten the deal. And when we're recording, I'm not really worried about like the extra parts, like not being able to play them, because I know we can fall back on, you know, the 3-piece version still resembling that idea and hitting just as hard. You know, there's a lot of other background vocal parts too that are in there. There are a lot of layers, but you know, it's just it's a different reason to go to the gig, you know, because you're not going to hear exactly what's on the record. Like, there's no way we would need like 12 people on our band. We need to be Arcade Fire.
Plus, we've gotten so much better at those songs since they've been recorded too. So you come to a live show, it's a completely new song. Well, not new song, but you know, there's a lot of bells and whistles live that aren't recorded.
Yeah, and you know, when we play live, I'm not discrediting any bands that play to a click or backing checks, but we're doing it raw. Like, we don't have any of that stuff. It's just three dudes in a room.
Yep.
If the timing ever does get screwed up, whose fault is it?
That would be mine.
Got that on clip?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's me.
So you guys have a studio engineer in your band, and Jamie, you run a studio. It used to be called the Scream Parlor, and now it's called Split.
Yeah, actually, we moved out of that spot. Yeah. So I do still do like some overdubs and some mixing and editing, but as far as like tracking in a facility, I don't do that anymore.
As I say, you've recorded quite a bit. I know you did Sons of Kong and the Royal Blue.
Yep. Yeah. Grim Waters is another band from the area. They're coming out with an EP. I did that as well.
Oh, you did do that?
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. It's good. It's not out yet, but
Do you like doing that kind of thing?
yeah, I love doing it, especially when you get to, record talented bands and, nobody, if I record a band like us, like we don't have any egos, like you can, like kind of what I was talking about with the songwriting, like you can tell us like, hey, maybe don't do that, maybe don't do that so much. And
Yeah, enough said.
if I don't do it and we record, something on playback will tell you, if it sucks, you'll know right away when you're listening to it. And that should kind of be your key to anything is the idea. The idea should be the king of what makes all your decisions. I mean, at least for our band.
Well, and you've recorded all of your projects, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. We've never gone. Well, we did go into Rock Garden Live. We did like his live show or whatever. So we have gone into a studio, but not for a studio recording.
Is going into a studio something you'd like to do in the future, or would you rather have control and the freedom to kind of take your time?
No, I'm definitely open to going somewhere. We would just have to find the right situation, That's we're not. That's pretty open ended for us. There's no hard and fast rule with anything. It's just like the songwriting. Like if it's a great idea, then we should do it.
Yeah.
If it's a bad idea, we'll skip it.
So the self-titled album, lots of great songs, and I wanted to know like how you keep your voice in good shape, because you go from singing like this falsetto to just a growl.
It's
in a smoke-filled basement.
yeah, I don't know. It's I think it starts with like being in a really loud band to start out with. Like you want to be. Your vocals have to go over the top of that, so naturally, like you're just trying to muscle your way through it, and I can't necessarily muscle my way through it anymore. Not like 10 years ago. So you kind of have to adapt and learn a little technique and have some more finesse rather than power, just to be able to maneuver some of those things. But I mean, a lot of it is just instinct, though. I've never had lessons or anything like that.
When you're writing these songs, do you think maybe in 20 years I should maybe write this differently so I can sing this in 20 years?
It's somewhere in there. It's somewhere in there every time we write a song. Like when we're getting more and more clever with the song structure, we always think like, oh, this will be so cool. And then we get to the part where we have to play that said song structure, and we're like, why'd we do this? Yeah. I mean, that happens when like, if you throw in odd numbers with your bars, like you'll get into some of that where you gotta start thinking about the song until it becomes muscle memory. And
Did you take any voice lessons or anything?
no, nothing like that. My dad actually, he was in a band when he was younger. He still writes music and sings. He does it for himself now, but when I was a kid, they would always practice in our basement. So I mean, being a little kid and having a band play in your basement every single week is highly impressionable, So,
Did he ever let you come down and kind of jam with the band?
No, I wasn't quite old enough for that. Yeah, but as far as singing goes, I mean, he would drop little nuggets of things off that he had found out when he was singing, things that he had learned, and his is the same way. I don't think he's ever taken a voice lesson, but you just instinctually, and the more and more you do it, you find out what works, what doesn't work. Like it's a process.
Have you had a show where you knew your voice wasn't in top shape before and maybe panicked?
Yeah, sometimes you feel like that going into the gig, and it turns out to be your best gig.
Well, Rock Garden's a good example of like one that would be stressful because you kind of get one shot.
Yeah, and going into that gig too, I was sick the whole week, so it was like, okay, I'm not really sure how this is gonna go, but it's rock and roll. You gotta let it go.
So the self-titled album, when that came out, did you guys have a big release, or was that after COVID hit? Did that kind of snuff out any kind of big release that you could have done?
Right before.
We were recording it right when COVID started. So that kind of gave us some time to mess with it a little longer because it was pretty uncertain when we would be able to release it. But yeah, that's come up. That kind of sucks that we did all that and then we have to like find that energy again to release it and start pushing it.
Did you guys start writing for the next album already?
Yeah, we have a few songs in the works. We always try to have a few ideas that we're working on.
Always writing.
Yeah. We don't really have like a set block of time where we're like, all right, we're not going to play shows, we're just going to write. Like we usually try to juggle the two. Seems to work well for us.
I think from seeing pictures of you recording your last album, you would post pictures of the dry marker board, which you referenced earlier in the conversation, and that looked pretty intense, and professional, sometimes. I might add. So typically when you guys were recording, like on the last album, I'm guessing it looks like from looking at the marker board, you do the drums and the scratch guitar first, and then you kind of add on after that. Is it bass after that?
I believe that's what we did.
Yeah. Well, we do around a pre-pro too before we, Oh
yeah, a couple of months.
Yeah, we do a couple of months of pre-pro, and
what is that?
So like pre-production, we just go in and like we to a click track, we'll record the songs live, and then if I have or if they have any ideas of like immediate overdubs, we'll put those on there, and then we'll sit with the songs for a little bit. It's just kind of another filter of, figuring out, there should be more of this, there shouldn't be as much of this, maybe we should do this, maybe the song won't even make it, sort of thing. So it's just another filter to try and make whatever we do end up releasing better.
You guys had a video that came out for, was it No True North?
Yep, that's correct.
How did the idea for that video come out, and like who did you have film it? It's really good.
Ryan Kimball, I think is his last name.
Kimball.
Yeah, he's a buddy of the Grim Waters guys that I mentioned earlier. He does a lot of like videography. I know he's done a few of their videos. I think he's still doing it.
I think he's doing a Grim Waters video currently.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but he was great. He was really good with coming up with like a sort of a storyboard and ideas like that, because we didn't have any ideas going into it. I knew what the song was about, but as far as how to put it into like a visual 3-minute video thing like he did, I didn't have any ideas. We're not visual artists, I guess.
Totally not visual.
Well, prior to that one, there's also Sweetalk released a few videos. Before that, probably before you guys were in the band, I'm guessing. Or were you guys in the band when the previous videos for Annie Mall and Anatomically Speaking?
Yeah. We have those two, and there's another one, Right Kind of Empathy. Yeah, so we have those 3 videos. Those were done by our old bass player Travis.
Yeah.
So he's.
The Andy Mall video with the Barbie dolls was pretty cool.
Yeah. At first when I saw that, I was like, what did I just see? I gotta watch that again.
Didn't somebody say they seen that in a line for a haunted house somewhere?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Do you guys have any like music videos that are on the table yet off the new self-titled album?
Honestly, no, not really. We it might come up, this spring we were talking about maybe doing something live, gathering live footage and putting a video together. But I don't know at this point. Like we've been writing some new songs, so we might be on to the next thing already. Which, not that we're gonna come out with a completely new slate of songs. Like we're still gonna be playing our self-titled songs. But yeah, I don't know. I think our head just might be in a new spot.
Does it get kind of hard, like keeping up with promoting? Like music videos are kind of like a big promotion thing. It takes a lot of time, like you said, to come up with an idea. Then you have to find somebody to film it if you don't want to film it yourself, and edit it, and then release it, and try to make a big production over the release. I mean, is there an aspect of being in a band that you don't like, whether it be that kind of pressure to do a video or social media?
Yeah, social media is a good one.
Yeah, like it's daunting.
Hauling gear is a good one.
Hauling gear.
Hauling gear, yeah.
Getting done at 2:30 in the morning.
Going on at 2:30 in the morning.
When you guys get to a show to play, do you normally hope that you play first, middle, or last?
Middle.
We always wish for first.
I vote middle.
Yeah, I mean,
First, you get the best sound check. Middle, you got the crowd. Last,
You get nothing.
yeah,
you get bigger text on the poster if they have it. They know about it ahead of time.
the pros and cons to every spot of the show, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I think if I had to pick a worst part of being in a band, it would be like the social media. You need to do it, obviously. Like it's not gonna go away, and it's free pub, But none of us are good at it, But it's a thing you have to do if you're in a band, and we put some time and energy into it, but most of our time and energy is into rehearsing or writing ideas.
Is Sweetalk on like TikTok or Instagram, or I know you're on Facebook and YouTube.
We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We have a YouTube channel, but I think we're most active on probably Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We don't have a TikTok or a Snapchat. Yeah, we're not. They seem like everyday things that you gotta do, and like I have my phone right here, but I don't want to be one of those dudes everywhere we go.
It's unbecoming.
Just live in the moment,
What's your thought on like Spotify and Bandcamp and the streaming services?
Bandcamp's been good.
Yeah, Bandcamp's awesome.
Yeah, for selling merch, and for T-shirts and anything you got for sale, it's been great for that. Plus, that you can have a release timed out with Bandcamp, which is really nice. Yeah, I don't know.
Spotify is cool.
Yeah, Spotify's awesome for the listeners. Just finding new bands. Like it's really easy to lose track of time that way, where they have like at the bottom of the screen of who, if you pick like an artist to listen to, at the bottom of the screen they have like a similar artist section or whatever, and you can just fall down that well pretty easily.
You guys had physical copies of the self-titled. Did you still have those? Was it CD and vinyl or just CD?
Just CD. We did get it mastered for vinyl, but we never really pulled the trigger.
Now it's probably too late in the game to...
Yeah, probably.
Maybe down the road, some sort of anniversary.
Yep.
So, I mean, the vinyl, it sounds like it was something that you're entertaining, at least, for the future.
We wanted to do... I mean, we still want to do it, but again, it's like...
Expensive.
It's expensive, and we wanted really good artwork to go with it. Not that our artwork for the self-titled wasn't good, but, like, we're not, like we said, we're not visual artists, so we're not going to generate that artwork ourselves. And we don't know anybody, immediately in our family or friends that's, that type of person that's like, hey, I listened to your music and I got this idea. And, because, I mean, if you're going for vinyl, like, you want more than just the music.
Right.
Which sounds kind of sad, but, it's a whole production if you're getting a record.
Yeah, and it seems like there's more and more people collecting vinyl. I don't know if they're actually listening to it. I think they might just be collecting it. As far as like finding local bands, other local bands, I know Green Bay's got some great record stores. Appleton and Green Bay lost the exclusive company, but they've got, is it Eroding Winds?
Yeah, I've been to the Oshkosh location. I haven't been to the one on, is it College Ave?
Yeah.
I don't think the one in Appleton.
Yep, College Ave.
Yeah.
Do you do the consignment or consigned CDs to any of those?
We did with exclusive company, but they're gone now. But no, we haven't really exercised that option too much. We find that playing gigs and being there with the people, if you can win them over, usually a percentage of them is going to walk away with something,
Time for that sump pump conversation, guys.
All right. So what you're going to want to do is...
So when you guys are playing shows, have you had any really bad show experiences? Any just tragedy?
It's probably a lot funnier for us because we were there in the moment, and when things go wrong, you have that immediate impression of like the world is ending when it's really not, and nobody else notices but you do. So I think we've had some of those instances last fall.
Yeah, right before winter. If
20.
we're talking to the same one.
So yeah, are you thinking of Rep's Half House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
Tiny screws all over the stage.
Yeah. Couldn't tell if the battery was going in my bass or what.
I fell off the stage.
Ryan fell off the stage. That happened. It felt like that was happening in slow motion.
Was it the same show?
Oh yeah.
It was just a train wreck of a show. And it started snowing, so you got to load out in snow, and it was just.
It doesn't sound, anybody just finding out about this instance, it doesn't sound that bad, but when you're in the middle of it and you're trying to still make the gig happen, it's...
I think the important thing is, was there a lot of people there? Because if not, that makes it even worse, because you're, you're going through all this for,
It's a fair amount.
Yeah, not a ton of people, but...
enough where it hurt.
We went alone. Yeah.
I've never been just about ready to start the set and had somebody on stage with a tiny screwdriver and the back of his bass off and tiny screws all over the stage, and yeah, it's always something, but that's part of playing live. There's gonna be hurdles like that,
What about the guy who hid behind the bass amp?
Oh yeah, that was another. So we're playing at this place called Hijinks in
Fort Atkinson.
Fort Atkinson, yep. And for whatever reason, before we played, there was a ton of people in the bar. That band gets done. The people are still in the bar. We get up on stage. We do the sound check, setup, and all that. And we get into it. We're a couple songs into it. People are still in the bar. And then a fight breaks out outside the bar. And everybody leaves to go watch the fight because, obviously, that's a better show. We don't have anyone fighting on stage. But after that, the cops are looking for a guy that comes into the bar, and he hides on stage. And the cops come into the place, and they don't find him because he's hiding behind a bass amp.
On stage.
It's kind of ingenious.
You guys saw him hiding behind there?
Yeah, there's a guy hiding, crouching behind the bass amp.
I mean, if you're a cop, the last place you're going to look for somebody trying to hide is going to be on stage.
Were you guys still playing? I wasn't at that one, so
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, we played right through it.
Yeah, that was an experience.
So Jamie and Andy, do you guys bring spare guitar and basses to shows? Just in case you have a string.
You could jinx us here.
That is very jinxy, thank you. I used to bring two.
Real?
I've been doing one now because we play in a pretty dropped tuning, and I just don't have another bass set up in it that sounds as good. So I can change a string in 40 seconds. So if I go down, it is what it is.
Out comes the tools.
Right. I just
got
got
that tiny screwdriver.
And it wasn't my battery that ended up being the problem. Invest in power conditioners, kids.
So we talked about some of the bad things that have happened during a show. What would you say would be the best show with this lineup so far?
The best show.
It's tough to remember because it's been so sporadic over the past 2 years.
Yeah, and every show has a different reason for being good, I think. I mean, we just played in Green Bay at the Tarleton, which none of us had been there before for a music act.
Is
a
that
band.
set up like a old movie theater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really cool
Nice
place.
I've been there once.
Really cool place, and we were lucky enough that the band that booked it and asked us to play with her, she brought like a visual artist with her. So there was like a cool like video backdrop the entire time when we were playing. And it was, it was a totally different reason for it being a good gig, because you don't get that everywhere.
Did you get any video at that for a possible future live?
Yeah, we
music video?
we got a lot of like, cell phone clips or whatever. Nothing super professional, but good for social media.
Let's talk about the shows you have coming up, because you've got quite a bit. I guess you haven't really announced a lot of the shows yet, but you're going to be hitting the shows pretty quick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one coming up next week at
Cold Shot.
Cold Shot.
Cold Shot, yep. The 25th will be there with this. They're a fairly new band.
Crucial Moves?
They've played a show before, but not like they're from Appleton, but they've never played an Appleton show. They're a fairly new band, Crucial Moves.
And a band called Floral Friday
Yep,
as well.
yeah. They're from Appleton too. They're kind of like a pop punk emo thing going on. They're pretty cool.
You've played at the Cold Shot before.
Yeah, many many times.
What are some of the other shows that you can tell us about?
So within that like 10 show run that we have this spring, there's we're gonna be at the Lyric Room a couple times in Green Bay. Those will be good shows. We're playing with Mother Wind and Sons of Kong one night, and then another night we're playing for Grim Waters is having an EP release party. There's a band called Enswell that's gonna be on that show, and Night Again too. They're not Night Again 2, but the band is also called Night Again. So we'll be there. We'll be in Minneapolis at a place called Club 331.
Yep.
We have a Madison show at the Rigby. We'll be with Soul Shade. They're a heavier band, really cool. We'll be kind of all over. We're playing in Wausau.
I mean,
Also, yeah.
it does sound like you guys are going to be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have families at this point?
I have a
He's
wife.
recently engaged. He has a wife, no kids. I just got divorced.
We don't have
No.
kids, if that's what you're
Oh,
asking.
yeah.
I have a
There's no
dog.
kids involved.
So everything is great with the home life as far as the getting out and gigging and getting
Yeah.
home. And like
Yeah.
when you played Madison, are you going to drive home the same night?
I don't know. It's probably, it's just 2 hours isn't too bad, especially if the show isn't starting at, super late, 10 o'clock or whatever. But like Minneapolis, we'll stay somewhere for that one. Yeah.
Hopefully make some good connections while you're there as well.
Yeah, that too. We played Minneapolis one other time a long time ago, but yeah, it's good to. I think we're excited to finally get out and push the record because, with COVID and we had some other personal stuff going on too that we just had to take time and because you don't get paid a ton of money. We have jobs outside of this that we have to juggle and families as well. We have significant others that you have to spend time with them. You can't neglect that.
When you're playing out of town, do you feel that the response is different? Like people just assume since you're from out of town, maybe I'll pay more attention to you. Like when you play in Minneapolis versus playing in Appleton, maybe people are like, well, I'll go catch Sweetalk the next time they come around.
Seems like we're such a new thing to a lot of people that we're just kind of dumbfound people everywhere we go.
We always get
What the hell is this?
yeah, we get done playing and we always get, why are you guys playing here? It's like, well, where the hell are we supposed to play? This is what we got.
Sweetalk, you guys do have a really cool sound that you don't really hear with a lot of bands. It's different, which, like you said, it catches you off guard.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it should be in an arena. Like the songs are big, which
Yeah.
being a three-piece,
Well, thank you.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The self-titled album, you had some collaboration on the album cover, Caleb Cheslock and Pete Kornowski. Am I saying that right?
That's right. Yep, nailed it.
How did they get involved with helping with that?
Caleb actually used to be in the band.
So he was in the original.
Yeah, so he was the other guitar player. So we've always kind of known him, and he's in bands in the Valley too.
He's in Choke and Christopher Gold and
Yep.
all things.
Yeah, that's right. But he does like just some film photography on the side. I think he just does it for his own pleasure. But he posts things on Instagram every once in a while, and we thought that would be maybe a cool option to have him do it. And he's a cool dude. He's good to us.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you guys had some of the last albums mastered by Justin Perkins at the Mystery Room, and then this time you guys had it mastered by West Side Music.
Yeah, I know it seems like a typo. That's actually what it's called. West Side.
West Side.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan. I can't. His last name is escaping me, but he does a lot of like bigger name records. A lot of stuff that we're into. Like at the time when we were recording this self-titled record, I was listening to a lot of Every Time I Die, and he's mastered a lot of their records. So a lot of our references were kind of based off of them, and their not their most recent record, but Low Teens from Every Time I Die.
You had some help on Not My Blood with some piano by Megan Boelter. I'm probably butchering these names today,
No.
but that's right, Megan Boelter.
Yeah.
So you guys decided to have some piano added, and earlier in the interview you mentioned, when we were talking about adding a member, you mentioned adding in keys. So
Yeah.
did that experience having her play on that track kind of make you think maybe you want a keyboard player?
I don't know. I mean,
Wasn't it just to kind of fluff up the album?
yeah, we did it as like another layer, and if you listen to it, it definitely adds another layer. Like it seems like the right thing to be in that spot. And going back to what circling back to what we were talking about earlier is like if it seems like during playback like that's what should happen, like you leave that or you do more of that. If it doesn't fit, then take it away. And in that instance, it definitely fit.
And then as far as the sound, the Sweetalk sound, are there a couple bands that you would say kind of sound similar to Sweetalk?
I think we get a different band every gig, but there's some common ones, I guess.
Yeah. I hear people say we sound like Muse.
We get Deftones every once in a while. Yeah, Glassjaw at the drive-in. Thrice every once in a while. Last show we got some guy came up to us and said we sounded a lot like La Dispute, which is cool. I don't know that we do, but we really like those bands, so that's fine with me.
Yeah, someone hears it.
When somebody comes up after a gig and has like a comment or suggestion, do you guys like that? Or, I mean,
yeah, I mean, I do. I really don't mind being compared to anybody. It's definitely a compliment in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that somebody feels strong enough to want to walk up to you and even talk to you, that's...
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. They got something out of our set, Nobody's come up to us and been like, man, you guys sound like shit. Not to our face.
I haven't heard that one yet. Not yet.
So when you guys did the Rock Garden Live, which is now Live at the Rock, when you guys performed there, that show went smoothly? No hiccups or anything?
No, it was like just an odd setting, having... I mean, we practice kind of in a circle, like how it's shot, but having an audience sitting around you is a different experience, and then throwing cameras on top of that is another.
Yeah, and Andy, I know you performed there with Red Light Saints prior.
Yeah, actually, the first one, that was kind of our idea. We
With
shot it at his old studio.
Was that with the candles and There was one that
Yeah,
was set up almost like an MTV Unplugged.
Yeah, that was kind of the gist of it that we were going for there. Yeah, and then he kind of took the ball and ran with that. So it was fun to go and do it again in the new studio with Red Light Saints and with Sweetalk.
Have you guys been able to play all the festivals around here yet? Like Mile of Music, Oshkosh Music Fest?
We've done Oshkosh Music. We haven't done Mile. I think we might be just a tad heavy for them. We have a lot of friends bands that play that though. So I mean, we've been to Mile as as listeners and watchers. So it's really cool what they do. And I can see why we wouldn't necessarily be their thing. Because people going there are just going for something else.
Dave Jackson was on and he always talks about Mile of Metal, which...
Yeah, I wish it was a thing. I mean, it could be, right? It could be.
It could be.
Not in this city.
It would just be like 2 bars.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to set it up. That's, I think, the first hurdle.
Yeah.
Setting it up.
Yeah, who's going to do it? Not me. Not us.
When you guys are booking shows, are you reaching out to the venues yourself? Or are you waiting for other bands to ask you to play with them? If somebody's interested in playing with Sweetalk,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would they just have to shoot you an email?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. You can hit us up anywhere. There's a lot of like show swapping that happens too. But yeah, a lot of times you just reach out to the venue. We know the owners to a lot of the places that we play, and it's always it's always nice to be in a good pocket with them, because they'll let you more or less do whatever you want if the date's open.
Are there any bands in the area that you'd like to throw a plug out for that people should check out based on your recommendation?
Yeah, well, like I was saying earlier, Grim Waters for sure. They're coming up with an EP in April.
Mm-hmm.
April 21st is their release show at the Lyric Room. We'll be on that bill with them. So definitely check those guys out. We play with Sons of Kong quite a bit. Those dudes are good. I've recorded a couple of their EPs.
Really good.
Yeah. And they're fun dudes to just be around. Choke is another one. I helped out a little bit with their EP that they have. They're always a good time too. Yeah, and it's inevitable that we're gonna forget somebody, but immediately those are the 3 that come to my mind.
And Choke, they're fairly new, but yeah, Caleb, it's definitely a heavier band.
Yes.
Yeah, it's I don't even. You definitely have to have a taste for stuff like that, or death metal isn't necessarily my thing, but I can appreciate what they do and respect that they can do it at a high level, which I think in that genre it goes pretty far pretty quickly.
Yeah. So if people want to check out Sweetalk and find out more about the band, where would you send them? Bandcamp or Facebook?
I would send them to our Spotify, actually. Spotify, and if you're interested in our socials, definitely Facebook and Instagram. We're on Twitter too, so check out the Twitter.
Check out the Twitter.
And live shows. Come out and actually see us. We exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you're gonna hear the record on Spotify the way we recorded it and meticulously went over it, but go to a live show. You're going to hear a very unique version of it. It's going to sound, you're going to know what song it is, but go to a live show. It's not going to hit as hard.
It's so much better live.
Have the crowds repaired themselves since the quarantine days, or still sort of hurt?
I'd say they're getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
hard to measure.
We'll let you know in a couple months.
Yeah. We'll take surveys for you.
Well, thank you for joining us on Fox City's Core Code Zero Radio. We love Sweetalk, and it was great to sit down with you guys and talk for an hour. And that self-titled album is great. I look forward to hearing the next album once that's released. So hopefully you'll come back again.
Yeah. Thank
sure.
you. We'd love to.
It's been great.
Thanks a lot for having us, Andy.